Hi everybody. Welcome to RIOS 125, the academic program by ISRT Kerala chapter. I am Vikas KN, working as interventional radiology technologist at Sri Chitra Tirunal Institute for Medical Science and Technology, Trivandrum, Kerala. The topic for the day is digital subtraction angiography. In this presentation, I would like to give an idea about DSA. What are the principles of DSA? Different materials and instruments used in DSA procedures, contrast agents, role of technologist, and what are the advances in the DSA technology. Angiography is the imaging of blood vessels. It can be artery or vein. Angiography can be performed using various imaging modalities like X-rays and catheters, which is the DSA technique. Computer tomography, we call it as CT angiography. Magnetic resonance imaging or MR angiography, and Doppler imaging, which is also used for imaging of blood vessels. When we compare all these modalities, DSA is said to be the gold standard or the top of the line imaging for blood vessels. So, what are the uh, advances or advantages of DSA is it is a selective study or it can be super selective. That means when we do a CT or MR angiography, suppose we are doing cerebral angiogram, we are getting all the arteries of the brain, like both carotid arteries and vertebral arteries. But when we do DSA, we can do selective angiogram. We can go into a particular artery, say carotid artery, and we can inject contrast and image that. This is called a selective angiogram. And CT and MR angiograms are not good for small vessels, but DSA is very good for small vessel information. 3D is, of course, available in both all the modalities. And another important aspect is the cross circulation study, which we will see later. In a catheter based angiographic technique, we insert a long tube called catheter through a small incision made on the skin into the artery, and we guide it through the artery into a particular location which we want to see under fluoroscopic guidance, and we inject contrast to see the blood vessel. Simultaneously, we acquire a lot of X-ray images that will give a digital subtraction angiogram. What is DSA? It is an advanced angiographic technique to produce images of blood vessels in isolation from other structures like bones or overlying tissues. So we will get only the pictures of blood vessels and all other things are getting subtracted. For that, first we will take a non-contrast image like this skull image, for example, and without moving the patient or the system, we inject contrast and take images when contrast is filled in the artery. And when we subtract the first image from the second image, we will get only the blood vessel images. This is called a subtracted image. Most of the current commercially available DSS systems use mask subtraction technique. As we know, first we take a non-contrast image, which is called the mask image, and consecutive images with contrast filled vessels. So in this, if you observe, you can see in image 2, contrast started appearing through into the vessel, then it flows forward, and again it is more advanced. Like that, we keep on taking like some 50 or 700 images till the venous phase ends. And when we subtract image 1, which is called the mask image as I told earlier, from the consecutive images like image 2 minus 1 or image 3 minus 1, image 4 minus 1, image 5 minus 1, mask image is getting subtracted, we will get only the blood vessel images. In digital images, the image is represented with the help of pixels. If you consider a digital X-ray image, each of these pixels represents a particular density. For understanding this principle, we use some arbitrary numbers Each of these pixel represents a particular density value. And when we introduce contrast into a particular blood vessel, that pixels having this contrast will get a higher value than the plain image. So when we subtract the density values of first image from the second image, all the pixels other than this contrast filled area become zero. Zero means there is no density, that will appear as white. And when there is a value more than zero, that will appear as dark. Or it can be, if it is a higher value like 100 or 1000, it will be more dark, like that. So when these pixels are getting subtracted with the mathematical values, we will get the subtracted image. This is called the pixel by pixel subtraction, or this is what is digital subtraction. What are the basic requirements or the equipments required for performing a DSA or interventional procedure? First of all, we need a good quality, well-equipped DSA suit. It can be either single plane or biplane. Single plane means there will be only one X-ray imaging system. That means an X-ray tube and a detector is mounted over a C-arm. That's why this machine is called a C-arm system. It is a C-shaped hardware on which one side X-ray tube and the other side a digital detector is kept. And the table will be in between. So when we expose, we will get images of the patient. This is single plane system. And if you see this system in which there are two sets of imaging chains, that means one set of imaging system frontally or AP, and the other one is lateral. So simultaneously we will get two sets of images, AP and lateral images. So in a single injection we can get both images. So the time of the procedure will be reduced and contrast dose also will be reduced. What are the other things required? A radiologist or interventionist to perform the procedure. Various hardwares to perform the angiography, like catheters, sheets, etc. Then an expert technologist who knows how to handle the machine or how to operate the machine, and what are the hardwares required, and give that properly in time. A trained nurse to assist in the procedure. Indications of angiogram. What are the situations in which angiogram is performed? Commonly, diseases of blood vessels like arteriovenous malformation or AVM, arteriovenous fistula or AVF, and in SAH means subarachnoid hemorrhage, which is most commonly occurs when aneurysms rupture, and tumors in which how much is the vascularity, check what is the extent of tumor or how it is affecting the surrounding blood vessels, like that. So venous malformations and bleeding, if a blood vessel ruptures and some bleeding occurs, especially in GI bleed or some splenic artery injury or something like that, or traumatic bleeds, especially in RTA. Most of the common bleeding areas are hepatic artery bleeds or splenic bleeds. Such bleeds can be found out by angiograms. The patient preparation, we need some preparation, like prepare a checklist for the procedure. That means what are the things to be checked before the procedure to be started. For each type of angiogram, like cerebral angiogram, peripheral angiogram, or an intervention study, there will be a specific protocols to be followed. Blood investigations and the clotting parameter investigations, then electrolytes, urea and creatinine. Since we are giving contrast, you need these parameters. Then other than this virology, viral status and all, you have to check. Then check whether patient is hypertensive or diabetic. Then local body part preparation, that means shaving of the groins, and an informed consent to be taken. Proper informed consent to be taken, that is a must. Then how we perform an angio? We will make a small incision on the skin. Especially these are the areas where we used to do arterial puncture, either femoral puncture or brachial or radial puncture. These are the common areas, common arteries which we use to puncture to perform the angio. If it is femoral artery, it will be exactly over the femoral head area. Then the needle which we use are commonly 16 to 18 gauge needle. Then if it is brachial puncture, we will palpate the brachial artery and do puncture. Commonly 18 or 20 gauge needle can be used. In radial artery puncture, there are specific devices like a micro puncture set is available for puncturing. We can use that. It's needle 22 gauge size. Then puncturing technique is known as Seldinger technique, in which first we will palpate the artery, feel the pulse, we insert a needle. Once needle is inside the artery, blood jet will start coming through the needle. At that time, we will insert a guide wire, and then we will remove the needle, and subsequently we insert a sheath. There are two techniques called single wall puncture or double wall puncture. In single wall puncture, we will puncture only the anterior wall of the artery and insert the wire. In double wall puncture, usually done with a venous cannula, in which we are puncturing across the artery, and then we'll slowly withdraw the cannula. When it is inside the artery, blood jet will come. At that time, we will insert a wire and insert the sheath. This is called double wall puncture technique, and this is single wall puncture. This double wall puncture technique is more safer in angiograms. And another device called an arterial introducer sheath, which is like in IV line when we are putting a venous cannula. Similarly, one device is there. It is called arterial sheath. Comes in different diameters from 3 French to 22 French. 3 French is 1 millimeter. So common size is 3 French to 22 French, and most commonly used sizes are 6 French. This is the part which is going into the artery. This is the hub which will be outside, and there will be a side port. Here you can see the side port through which we can give medicines and all. And this is the area where we insert the catheter. Here you can see a small valve like thing, which is a rubber valve. Actually, when we insert a device, it will go through this valve, and when we remove it, this valve will get closed and backflow will be prevented, so blood loss will not be there. From this video you can see how a arterial puncture is performed and how a sheath is introduced. Just watch it. After feeling the pulse, they're inserting the needle. See, you can see blood is jetting out, so they will insert a small wire, guide wire, into the blood vessel. Then we will verify the position with the fluoroscopy. Then after that, we will remove the needle, keeping the wire inside. Then over the wire, the sheath is introduced. So this is the arterial sheath which they introduce into the, and here there is a inner stillet called a dilator. Along with that, the wire also removed, so there will not be any backflow. And through the side port, they will aspirate and flush the sheath, then give heparin and further proceed into the angiogram. So another hardware used in angiograms are catheters. Catheters are, as you know, it is a hollow tubes. Most of the catheters 65 centimeter to 100 centimeter in length, and the diameter vary from 3 French to some 8 or 9 French. Common diagnostic angiographic catheters are 4 French or 5 French, and maximum 6 French. What are the parts of a angiographic catheter? If you see this catheter, the long part, this part is called the shaft of the catheter. This is called the hub of the catheter, and the distal end, so end of the catheter, which is called the curve, catheter curve. Catheters using in different angiograms varies in shape. According to this shape only, the catheters are named. What are the basic ideal properties required are better torque control. Torque control means when we rotate the hub, the catheter tip will also rotate. Then strength to move it or push it through the blood vessels. Then radio opacity, you have to be, you should be able to you see the catheter in under fluoroscopy. Then flexibility, it should be flexible so that only it will go through the blood vessels, tortuous blood vessels it could go, so it should be flexible also. And a traumatic tip, the tip should be very soft, otherwise it will cause damage in the blood vessels. Low surface friction resistance means when we push it through the blood vessel, it should go freely, should move freely. So for that, there are some special hydrophilic coatings are applied on the catheter. Another important aspect is the catheter braiding. Even if we see catheter as a plastic tube, there are some metallic braiding or metallic reinforcement in the wall of the catheter. We call it as braiding. Stainless steel braiding or beryllium, copper, silver, other polymers. These are the common materials used for braiding. Braiding increases the radiopacity and it prevents kink, means kink resistance. Kink resistance means the catheter will not get kinked when we rotate or when it goes through a curved artery or a tortuous artery. Types of catheters. Basically, the catheters classified according to their configuration. One is end hole or side hole catheter. Then shape of the tip. As I told in the beginning, the catheter shapes are different for different procedures, and the naming is according to the tip shape. Standard size or microcatheter, that is according to the diameter. If it is a catheter which is more than 3 French in diameter, we call it as standard catheter or diagnostic catheter. And if anything less than 3 French, like a very small catheter, like less than 1 mm diameter, we call it as microcatheters. Then balloon catheters with a balloon at the tip. This we use for angioplastic procedures. And flow guided catheters, this microcatheters with a very flexible tip, which will flow through the blood stream. They are called flow guided catheters. Then diagnostic catheters, which is commonly used for performing the diagnostic angiograms, and guiding catheters, which are commonly used in interventional procedures. These guiding catheters are called so because they guide the microcatheters into the target location. Catheter names, as I mentioned earlier, the catheters are named according to their tip shape. Each of the catheter is having a specific curve. We call it as primary curve and secondary curve. Different nomenclatures are there. Then this is a pigtail catheter, which looks like the tail of a pig. This is a catheter called the JL or Judkins left coronary catheter, which is used for performing left coronary angiogram. This is called JR or Judkins right coronary catheter, used for a right coronary angiogram. Here also you can see so many different shapes of catheters and each one having different names. Another hardware is guide wires. Guide wires are also used in performing angiograms. Basically, two types of guide wires are there: metallic guide wires and hydrophilic guide wires. Metallic guide wires consist of an inner core of metal like nitinol or special steel like material, or with some spring like material is wounded. Here you can see a spring like winding over a core, metallic core, and this will give more flexibility, and the shape of the tip will be specifically curved in either straight or curved. Different shapes are available, and a Teflon coating is applied over the wire, metallic wires, to give more trackability, means more it will the friction will be less and decrease the thrombogenicity. Usually the guide wires are coming like this inside the plastic tube. This tube is called a hoop. Then hydrophilic guide wires are another type in which instead of this winding, spring like winding, there is some polymer coating over a metallic core. These type of gateways are most commonly used in radiology procedures, and you can see an alloy core or which a polymer, special polymer jacket is there, and some hydrophilic material is applied on this polymer jacket so that it can be easily handled inside the blood vessels. There are different tip configurations are there, like straight, angled, or curved. When you go into a DSA lab, you can listen or you can hear different guide wire names like standard, exchange guide wire, angled, like that. So what are the different classification criterias? According to tip configuration, we call guide wires are straight, curved, or angled. Then length of the guide wire varies from usually 150 to 300 centimeter. A 150 centimeter guide wire is usually used in diagnostic angiogram, which is called a standard guide wire. And if it is a double length wire like 260 to 300 centimeter, we'll call it as exchange guide wire, which is used to exchange a catheter inside the blood vessel. So guide wire's diameter also vary from 0.007 inch to 0.038 inch. Micro guide wires and macro guide wires. Micro guide wires, anything less than 0.14 inch is called a micro guide wire, and anything more than that is a macro guide wire. Then again, guide wire is having some classification like stiff wire, soft wire, like that. Another classification criteria also there. The contrast media which we use in DSA is commonly a non-ionic contrast media, which will give less reactions. The iodine content can be 300 to 370 milligram. A 1:1 dilution can be used in DSA. An isosmolar contrast is used for patients with poor renal function, like high creatinine or something. And in such cases, we can use a isosmolar contrast media like VCPEC. A pressure injector is used when high pressure injections are required, like in iotograms or in 3D angios. So this is a pressure injector in which we will load contrast inside. This is there in CT and MR also. You might be knowing. What are the basic checklist to be checked before taking a patient? So before taking the patient inside the lab, check the patient's identity. So first we make sure that the patient is correct. All blood reports to be checked and verified. Then an informed consent is to be taken. Whether you can check whether consent is there or not. Then before the study itself, make sure that all materials are present in the lab. Then clinical diagnosis of the study. For what diagnosis you are going to perform the study, whether it is a SH case or an AVM case or a venogram. So the clinical diagnosis is an important thing. According to that, your study protocol will vary. So you should check the clinical diagnosis. For example, in SIH, we need 3D angiograms. So we have to make the injector ready, like that. So according to the clinical diagnosis, the procedure protocol may vary. So the study required means whether it is a iotogram or cerebral angiogram or a peripheral angiogram. So what are the requirements that you have to check? Then another important thing in DSA labs, all the emergency equipments like defibrillator, O2 supply, emergency medicine, everything to be checked and make sure that it is working. Once the patient is inside the cath lab, according to the study requirement, whether it is head first or feet first, that position to be uh, decided and keep the patient in position. Then connect the patient to the physiology monitor and check the vitals like heart rate, BP, etc. Then explain the procedure to the patient. This is an important thing. So always the patient will be very much afraid or apprehensive. So you can talk to them and tell them what is going to happen and what are the things to be taken care. So like patient should not move while the injections. Another important aspect is a technologist who work in DSA lab should have a basic knowledge of the vascular anatomy. That is an important thing to annotate or to see what are the pathologies. You should be familiar with the vascular anatomy. Here you can say frontal angiogram of the carotid artery. This is lateral view. This is vertebral artery angiogram, and this is a lateral view of vertebral artery. Here you can see external carotid artery, then hepatic and splenic, all other visceral angiograms. You should be familiar with all these things. This is the arch anatomy, archovascular anatomy, which shows the carotid and vertebral arteries. Then common angiographic projections. Here I am just mentioning few common angiographic projections of cerebral angiogram. The most common projections are angiographic AP view, which is actually epicranial view, in which we are seeing the bony landmark like the orbital roof of the orbital margin should exactly coincide with the roof of the petrous bone. This is the cranial view of angiographic AP, and this is the lateral view in which we are make sure that the position is true lateral. External auditory meatus is seen through, and the uh, roof of the orbit should be overlapped so that it should be true lateral. Then oblique views like 20 to 25 degree RAO or LAO, ipsilateral view. For example, for right ICA we use right anterior oblique view, and left ICA we take left anterior oblique view. Then in vertebral arteries, we take an apicaudal view in which the petrous should be projected below the orbital margin. This is a caudal view actually with the caudal angulation. This is again Townes view in which the petrous should be projected above the orbital roof. This is called a Townes view and lateral view. These are the common views taken in vertebral artery angiograms. And previous, these are the carotid artery angiogram views. Then cross circulation study, there will be blood flow across the cerebral hemispheres. Normally this cross flow will not be active because from both sides blood flow is coming inside. So when there is a pathology, for example, if you are going to do a surgery for an aneurysm of the carotid artery of one side, if we do a surgery and accidentally if the blood vessel get occluded, then we are seeing whether from the cross flow across the anterior communicating artery or posterior communicating artery, whether blood flow will come to the affected side. To check this, we do a cross compression study in which we will inject through one carotid artery and press at the neck level of the opposite side artery with your fingers. Externally, we apply compression and then we inject, so that we can see in this second image the blood is flowing through a comb and filling the opposite side. This is called a cross compression study. So actually here what we did was we injected in contrast into this right carotid artery and we compressed the left side. So when there is a compression on the left side, inflow will be blocked, so blood naturally flows from the right side to left side through anterior communicating artery. So to study the patency of the ACOM or PCOM, we use this cross compression studies. Now finally, what are the recent advances in DSA systems? In nowadays in DSA, we can do 3D rotational angiography, so that we can make 3D projections. We can volume rendered images or hollow vessel like images in which we can rotate the image and see exactly the orientation of the pathology like aneurysms or AVMs or whatever. Then bone reconstruction or relative position of the bones with the blood vessel, such things are helpful in surgical procedures also. Then here you can see how a 3D rotational angiogram is performed. Once we are injecting the contrast, the system will take a rotation around the patient's head, and here you can see the corresponding images. Here you can see an aneurysm, and these are the reconstructed images, 3D reconstructed images, in which you can see the anatomy properly. And for further treatment also, this type of angiograms are very helpful. And from the 3D rotational angiogram, you can make MPR images, multiplanar reconstructed images, like axial images or coronal images or sagittal images, or any oblique plane images we can make, like in CT images. See, MPR images of blood vessels, or MIP images also we can obtain, in which we can measure the exact size of the aneurysm, see the neck of the aneurysm, etc. Another new aspect is the 2D perfusion study, which can be performed in DSA lab itself. Soft tissue imaging in DSA cath lab suite is possible with the 3D, enhances the decision making with the additional CT-like images, for especially for treatment purposes, immediate detection of hemorrhage and any other complications during the procedures. So in immediately after the interventional procedures, we can perform a CT-like image, or we can acquire a CT-like image inside the lab itself, and we can check whether any hemorrhage or any complication occurred or not, without shifting the patient into the CT scan. Time saving means we need not shift the patient into CT or mobilize the patient, so the time can be saved. What are the roles of technologists in a DSA suite? Up to date knowledge of the materials and technologies is an important aspect. The materials coming in market are varying yearly. So what are the new materials coming, and what are the how they are used, what are the advantages and disadvantages, all these things to be updated. Then keep a DSA suite ready for the study, keep the DSA, switch on the machine, keep everything ready for the procedure prior itself, arrange all materials, making images or films. If it is a PACS system, you can send the images to the PACS, or archive the images in CDs. All the patient demographics, what are the other parameters, everything should be recorded properly. What are the materials used for the study, what is the diagnosis, what was the pressure, how much heparin was given, all these things to be noted in the register. Then finally, before concluding, we can see some examples of the DSA. This is aortic arch angiogram. This is abdominal aortic angiogram. You can see renal arteries, all blood vessels. This is again iliac arteries, means aortic bifurcation. Here you can see some femoropopliteal junction. This is a popliteal artery dividing into tibial arteries. This is the right ICA, internal carotid artery angiogram, from arterial phase to venous phase. This is the lateral view of the same. This is this is a vertebral artery angiogram. And finally, this is a coronary angiogram. This is a rotational coronary angiogram. This is non-subtracted angiogram. Since heart is beating, we cannot do subtracted angiogram in coronary. And finally, all these things which I told, what are the different steps, we'll conclude it in a movie. We take the patient into the lab, prepare the patient, clean with betadine, all the parts are prepared. Then a local injection is given, local anesthesia. After that, we'll do a percutaneous puncture after feeling the pulse. Here you can see we are doing a double wall puncture. We withdraw the punctured across the artery, and when we withdraw, once the cannula comes into the artery, you will get a jet of blood. At that time, we will insert the guide wire. See, once the guide wire is inside, we'll remove the cannula and we'll insert the sheath. After making a small incision over the skin, this is the sheath. 6 French sheath is introduced. Then through the sheath, we will give heparin also to prevent blood clots. Then a selected proper catheter is selected for the study and introduced into the sheath. Then with fluoro guidance, the catheter is guided through the aorta. We are going to do a cerebral angiogram, and it is taken through the arch aorta into the great vessels. This is the right carotid artery. We'll inject, and different angulations are made and injections are taken. This is the biplane mode. So both the planes are rotating. This is the left internal carotid artery angiogram, AP view, left vertebral angiogram. That's the Townes view. And finally, after the study, we will park the lateral plane into the parking position and take out the patient. This is the rotational angiogram image. This is the rotational reconstructed image. So you can see a large aneurysm here. And this is the CT-like reconstruction made from the same rotational angiogram. And thank you for the kind listening. And I would like to thank the organizers of the program for the opportunity. Thank you.